Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. I think the Beastie Boys might have said it best when they said, "You've got to fight for your right to party." Well, it seems like we constantly have to fight for our rights that are basically guaranteed under the Constitution. But for some reason, a large part of this country, specifically leaders in charge, don't think that we should have these rights, or they think that they should be able to infringe on them as much as possible, even though it literally says shall not be infringed in the Second Amendment. And so we're constantly fighting these fights, but I do think that we're winning. And I'm going to make a couple points in this video as to that, but things are actually looking up. I know it's easy to get drawn into all the negative stuff when you see what they're trying to do to take away our rights, but I believe that we are on the path to success. There's two things specifically that make me believe that we are winning. And the first one that I want to bring up is constitutional carry. So just 10 years ago, I don't think anyone would have been able to predict that more than half of the states in the country would have constitutional carry now, or permitless carry. Whatever you want to call it, because they technically are two slightly different things. But a lot of states, in order to carry a concealed firearm or open carry a firearm, generally you have to have a concealed carry permit. A lot of states just don't allow open carry whatsoever. Now, I think that every state should allow open carry. Do I believe in open carrying? Not really, at least not in like just regular everyday life. If I'm out hiking, camping, things like that, yeah, I might open carry from at the range. Absolutely. My range is just the outdoors, by the way. It's not really a range, but I think it's a lot smarter to concealed carry. You just have a lot more tactical advantages, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about the fact that now in 29 states, the last two, the 28th and 29th being Louisiana and South Carolina, we now have 29 states that have constitutional carry, meaning that you can carry your concealed pistol on you in those states without having to go through any type of permitting process. If you are not a prohibited person and you are legally able to own a firearm, in 29 states out of 50, you can carry a firearm concealed. It's just part of your rights in those states. As it should be everywhere. Pretty sure that's how the founding fathers wanted it to be. But I live in one of those states. I'm in Idaho. I don't need to get a concealed weapons permit. I can carry this anywhere I want, basically, whenever I want. It's not an issue. The cops aren't going to you're not going to get in trouble for carrying a firearm. Constitutional carry is a good thing, and it's how it should be everywhere. But it's something that most people didn't think that we would have in literally just about 3/5 of the country by now. And that to me is a really huge win, because it normalizes carrying a firearm for personal defense, but it also, I think it gets rid of some of those barriers that might keep people from carrying a firearm for personal defense. You know, if you have to go through a lengthy and expensive permitting process and you're not really into guns, a lot of people might not go through that process. But if you have constitutional carry in your state, I think a lot more just regular people, not gun people necessarily, might buy their first gun, start carrying it, and then become gun people and start realizing what's going on with our rights and be allies in the fight to keep those rights. I want to take a quick minute to talk about this video's sponsor, which is Aura. And the reason why is because it's a product that I actually do believe in. Now that I've been using it for a little while, it's actually improved my life. I get a lot less spam calls than I used to get, which is kind of huge. I use my phone for work, and so I have to answer numbers that I don't recognize. And it's nice to not be getting those spam calls all the time anymore. The other thing is I had my bank account hacked 3 times last year, and I had to get new debit cards at least twice. And then I had to, get all of my bills that were automatically paid fixed and switched over to the new cards. Huge hassle. And Aura takes care of all that stuff so you don't end up having to deal with those kinds of problems anymore. They scour the internet and they find wherever your information is being sold to scammers and spammers and anybody else that wants to use your information to sell your information, and they submit opt-out requests on your behalf, which helps get rid of all that stuff so you don't have to deal with that anymore. And ever since I've been using it, I actually have noticed a big difference. And in fact, I get alerts from Aura when they find where my information has been leaked, and then they fix that for me. And that's been huge. And they do a lot of other things too. They have VPN, password management, parental controls, all kinds of stuff, and you get it at a very low price, a lot less than you would pay if you bought all of those things individually. And it helps the channel. With YouTube demonetizing pretty much all of my videos now, if you sign up for Aura, it helps me grow the channel, and that is greatly appreciated. So please check out Aura. Get 2 weeks for free if you use my link, aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. I'd really appreciate it. I respect my privacy, and I respect yours. I think that concealed carry is a very important part of being a firearms owner. You can have all the cool, fancy Gucci guns in the world, but if they sit in a safe at your home, are they really doing you any good? Are they serving their actual purpose? You can go out and shoot on the weekends and train and have fun, and that's all good and dandy, but you find yourself in a situation where you need to defend your life and you don't have one of your firearms on you. That firearm sitting at home is not doing you any favors. And so I think concealed carry is very important. And it helps make people more responsible citizens. You're not going to, at least if you're smart, you're going to avoid getting in fights with people if you're carrying a gun, because you don't want to have to pull that gun in self-defense and use it. And so you're going to make that the very last option, and you're not going to put yourself in situations where you might have to use that option if you can help it. It just makes you more aware of things. It makes you, honestly, it makes you just more polite and treat people better rather than getting in arguments and being a hothead, because you know that you do have lethal force on you and you don't want to have to use that unless it really comes down to it. So I believe concealed carry makes people very responsible gun owners. It also makes you very comfortable with a firearm. When you carry one of these loaded round in the chamber every day in your pants, you get very comfortable with firearms. You spend a lot of time making sure that you're being safe, but you also get to a point where you understand how safe firearms really are when they're handled correctly, because you realize, like, I appendix carry this round in the chamber all the time, and you know what? It's never shot me. It will not shoot unless that trigger is pulled. And I think that carrying a gun all the time gets you used to that. It just helps you be more familiar with your firearm and less scared of them. So I think that the fact that we have constitutional carry in 3/5 of the country right now is huge, and that's a big win. And it's something that, the left and the anti-gun people have fought us about for years, and we've been winning a lot the last few years. State after state after state has turned. Now we do have, 21 states left. Are we going to get the whole country constitutional carry? It should be a national thing, in my opinion. But I do think we're probably a ways off from that. A lot of the states that don't allow it are the states that are really anti-gun. And the ironic thing about that, a lot of those are the places that you probably really, it behooves you to carry a firearm. If you're in Chicago, New York, LA, these places that have lots of violent crime these days, that is a place where I would want to be concealed carrying my gun. And those are the last places that would allow you to conceal carry, which is kind of crazy. So we'll see what happens with the second half of the states getting constitutional carry. But the fact that we are as far as we are is a huge win. There are countless other examples as well. And while there are things that look like losses, just the fact of who we have, in charge of the ATF with Stephen Dettelbach, somebody that is vehemently anti-gun, and we see things that the ATF does that are just mind-blowing to me. Calling triggers machine guns that are absolutely semi-automatic triggers, trying to make, pistol braces illegal, all these things that they try to do, but they're not winning on these. We're winning on most of those once they go through the court process. Now, the thing that sucks about that is generally in the meantime, like with the pistol braces, people are worried that they're holding on to felonies while we're waiting for those court cases to go through, but we generally do seem to win those court cases. And in fact, the ATF has even kind of been getting their butts kicked by Congress lately. Just yesterday, I believe it was, the ATF recently updated their NFA approval times. And as of yesterday, individual Form 4s, now they say that the average wait time is 89 days. Well, this is because Congress took 7% of their budget away and told them that they have to get these approvals down below 90 days. Now, I think it is pretty ironic that they got it to 89 days, conveniently one day under 90. And we've been doing videos about how many people have been getting approved in 2-3 days, 2 weeks, 48 hours, 24 hours. These really fast approvals, which, if you know anything about averages, that means that there's still a lot of people that are out there waiting 9, 10, 11 months, over a year. And that is not okay. But the fact that they are moving in that direction because Congress told them that they have to, and the ATF told Congress that they were, and so they don't want to perjure themselves, that is also another win. And I know not everybody is into NFA items, suppressors, short-barreled rifles, machine guns, but a lot of people are. I am one of them. I think every gun should be suppressed. Do I think that they should be regulated under the National Firearms Act and the Gun Control Act? Absolutely not. And that, I think, is the next win that we need to go for. It kind of boggles my mind that after all these years, we still have things like suppressors and short-barreled rifles on the NFA. Short-barreled rifles are only on there by mistake. They were trying to ban handguns, and they put SBRs on there so that people didn't have a workaround to chop a rifle down and basically make a handgun out of it to get around the handgun ban. Well, in the end, they didn't ban handguns, but they didn't take the SBR regulation off of there, and we've been dealing with it since 1934, and nobody has really done anything about it yet. To me, that's absolutely ridiculous. The other one that's ridiculous, I think, is suppressors. They're more popular than ever. So the whole thing about common use with stun guns and Heller, it was a couple 100,000. Well, there are millions of suppressors out there right now, and millions of people enjoy them, and those people aren't criminals. Criminals are not going through a lengthy wait process to get something. The suppressor isn't the part of it that anybody commits a crime with anyway. I think it's kind of ironic. You can go into the gun store, fill out a 4473, and get something that shoots bullets. The actual part that could possibly kill a person if you had bad intentions. But to get something that takes some decibels off of the loudness of your gun, takes 9 months to a year, a $200 tax stamp, all this extra regulation and red tape. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I think that it is the main fight that we need to go for right now, is getting these things off of the NFA, because there's no logical reason for them. Even the ATF, whenever they're asked about it, when they had all those congressional hearings about pistol braces, they couldn't say why even SBRs were regulated under the NFA. The only thing that Dettelbach could say is that Congress had decided that if something is short and also able to be shouldered that it is unusually dangerous. That's absolutely ridiculous. And if you look at the history of when the NFA was put into place, that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. Unfortunately, yes, it was Congress. That's how that got put into place. And so he gets away with saying these things, but it's not true. Nobody ever said that short-barreled rifles were extremely dangerous and unusual. And suppressors are the opposite. They are a safety device. But here I go ranting about other stuff when my point is that we are winning and we need to keep that momentum up. We need to go after suppressors, after short-barreled rifles, after the NFA, the Hughes Act, or the Hughes Amendment, the Gun Control Act. These things need to go. And I think while we have a Supreme Court that is, majority conservative right now, we need to try to get as many of these things to the Supreme Court as we can. We need to back groups that are doing the Lord's work to get these things in front of the right judges. And maybe someday we can actually have the Second Amendment the way the Second Amendment was supposed to be. Shall not be infringed. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a like. Make sure to share it with anybody that you know that would be happy to hear that we're winning the battle. And make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. If you do want to support the channel, the very best way is to join Aura. I keep mentioning it at the end of every video. I've been using it. It's actually a really good service, and it's very affordable. And you get 2 weeks for free if you use my link. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.